The Marvel Cinematic Universe has delivered many of the biggest movies in recent memory while also building its own collection of movie stars. The superhero adventures have made stars out of the likes of Chris Pratt and Tom Holland while turning actors into icons nearly as big as the heroes they play. Given the amazing success these movies have had, it is not surprising that the stars of the MCU command some of the biggest paydays in Hollywood. Of course, some of these names are bigger and have been around longer, leading to some truly astonishing salaries that prove how massive the MCU has become. Chris Pratt, $5 million. Star-Lord struggles to kill Gamera. While he was known as the lovable doofus Andy Dwyer in Parks and Recreation, Chris Pratt's casting as Star-Lord in Guardians of the Galaxy turned him from a sitcom sidekick to a box office king. Given that Pratt has a number of high-grossing movies to his name like the Jurassic World movies, $5 million might seem like a relatively low price for the actor. However, Business Insider reports that this was his pay for his supporting role in Avengers: Infinity War. Brie Larson, $5 million. Captain Marvel standing in a desert. It has been said that Marvel initially signs its actors in their first outing with a relatively low rate for a big blockbuster. With more sequels and appearances, that salary then rises to the higher levels. However, as Brie Larson was already an Oscar winner when she was cast in Captain Marvel, she commanded a big payday right out of the gate. The Hollywood Reporter claims Larson received a solid $5 million salary for playing Carol Danvers in her first solo movie. That amount will no doubt climb the longer she stays in the MCU. Benedict Cumberbatch, $6.4 million. Doctor Strange looking serious in Multiverse of Madness. Benedict Cumberbatch is another actor who had found considerable popularity before he joined the MCU. However, it seems as though Doctor Strange is becoming one of the key heroes going forward in the universe, and Cumberbatch's growing salary reflects that. After appearing in the Avengers movies and Spider-Man: No Way Home, Cumberbatch returned as Doctor Strange in his second solo movie, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, while getting a pay bump of over $6 million. Paul Rudd, $8 million. Scott in his Ant-Man costume without his helmet in Avengers Endgame. Given his reputation for more comedic roles like Anchorman in the past, few people envisioned Paul Rudd in a superhero role. That is part of what makes him so lovable as Scott Lang aka Ant-Man in these movies. It was especially fun to see him play around with some of the bigger Marvel heroes in the team-up adventures. After playing a small role in Captain America: Civil War, Ant-Man became part of the remaining Avengers team. It served as a promotion for both Scott and Rudd as he earned $8 million for Avengers Endgame, according to Forbes. Jeremy Renner, $15 million. Clint Barton with his arms crossed in Avengers Endgame. With just a bow and arrow as his contribution to the team, Hawkeye always seemed like one of the more forgotten members of the Avengers. Among the original 6 heroes, he was the only one to not receive a solo movie, although he eventually got a Disney Plus series. But while his popularity might not have been as big as some of the other heroes, that didn't stop him from earning similarly huge salaries in the end. Forbes reports that Jeremy Renner's return as Hawkeye in Avengers Endgame earned the actor an impressive $15 million. Mark Ruffalo, $15 million. Bruce Banner in Avengers Compound in Avengers Endgame. In one of the most prominent examples of recasting in the MCU, Mark Ruffalo took over the role of Bruce Banner aka Hulk in the Avengers. Despite the abrupt changing of actors, Ruffalo became another beloved part of the universe. Though he missed out on Hulk's only solo movie to date, he has been a big part of the Avengers adventures and managed to get the same $15 million pay for Avengers Endgame that his other colleagues received, according to The Hollywood Reporter. Chris Evans, $15 million. Steve Rogers holding Mjolnir in Avengers Endgame. In many ways, Captain America is the heart of the MCU, and a lot of that has to do with Chris Evans' endearing performance in the role. What could have been a laughable character was made into one of the defining movie heroes of the 21st century. As such a huge figure in the overall cinematic universe, it makes sense that Evans nets one of the biggest salaries. Though his run as Captain America has seemingly come to an end with Avengers Endgame, Forbes says the farewell earned Evans $15 million. Chris Hemsworth, $20 million. Thor reaching for his hammer in Avengers Endgame. Chris Hemsworth was another actor who was not very well known before joining the MCU. Not only did he become a star as Thor, but he also helped to redefine the character over time and turned the God of Thunder into one of the MCU's funniest characters and most popular heroes. Hemsworth also reached a significant milestone in the MCU as the first of the actors to headline 4 solo movies. And it was a lucrative return in Thor: Love and Thunder, as Variety reports Hemsworth was paid $20 million. Scarlett Johansson, $20 million. Black Widow looks in the distance. Scarlett Johansson is one of the longest-running actors in the MCU, with her performance as Natasha Romanoff going all the way back to Iron Man 2. Incredibly, it still took a decade before Johansson and her character got her own solo movie. However, with the release of Black Widow on Disney Plus instead of theaters, It ignited controversy around the MCU actors' salaries as Johansson claimed it broke her contract. In response to Johansson's claims, Disney made it publicly known that she was paid $20 million for Black Widow. Robert Downey Jr. $75 million. Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark aka Iron Man in Avengers Endgame. Robert Downey Jr. was not only the actor who helped to launch the MCU with Iron Man, but without his winning performance, the MCU would likely not exist as it does today. With all that in mind, it is not surprising that he commands the biggest salary. Though he was seen as a risky casting choice initially, Downey Jr. eventually became the face of the cinematic universe. When it came time for him to step away from the role in Avengers Endgame, Downey Jr. received $20 million upfront as well as a percentage of the box office, which Forbes suggests resulted in a $75 million payday altogether.